Well, hello, my name's Nigel Bannister. I'm the HR Director of Motor Industry Consultants Limited, and this afternoon I would just like to give you a bit of an insight into our view of recruiting and selecting the right people, and importantly retaining them. I'd like to move straight into recruiting, and strangely I might sort of say, well, the first thing to ask is, do you have a real vacancy? If somebody leaves you, is it a key position? Is it from the workshop? Is it from the service reception? Do you have to fill that vacancy? Because there's clearly a cost implication. If you can manage the business without that person being there, then question yourself, do you need to recruit? If you do, the cheapest way of doing it is by who you know. The automotive sector, I've heard, has got a fairly good grapevine, and you can usually tap into people that might know somebody that could come and work for you. If not, there's the conventional route of advertising, but you need to really think about where you're going to advertise. There's the motor industry press, there's your local press, there's the national press. There are millions of job boards these days, and some of them specialising just in our sector. Something that many of the bigger blue chip motor industry businesses do is to headhunt. This is going looking for people that are not looking to move their job. So you may know somebody that's really well settled in a particular organisation. You might respect that person. You might get a headhunter to go and headhunt them to come and talk to you. These days, a lot of people in the recruitment world do a mixture of both in terms of advertising and headhunting. It's one of those personal things, and it's up to you. Recruitment these days is not a cheap thing to do, and you need to consider all of the different methods that you might want to adopt if you're going down that route, but also need to think about, is there somebody internally that can do the work and you can promote them and recruit at a lower level. We live in a modern age. The internet has introduced so many new types of social media. In the US, it's suggested that 80% of recruitment now happens through LinkedIn. If none of you are on LinkedIn, I suggest you get out there and have a go. So let's assume that you have put an advertisement out, or you've got some candidates that you have got lined up to see. You've done that because you've checked their CVs, you're happy with the type of person that is presented to you on paper or who have applied. So you get to the point where it's interview day. The first thing you really need to think about is preparation. You need to be consistent in the style that you use with every person that you interview. You need the same interview format, the same questions, and there's some really good legal reasons for that in terms of employment law. You can actually fall foul of employment law before you've even employed somebody, before you even do employ somebody. When you have somebody in the room with you and you're starting to pose your questions that you've carefully pre-prepared, one of the key messages for you, the recruiter, is to listen carefully to all the responses you get. Again, trying not to fall foul of employment law. Discrimination is something that you have to just absolutely steer away from in today's legal world. Race, sex and age are all issues that you can easily discriminate on, and you just need to be so well prepared that you don't do that. Also, if you're interviewing for one job, stick with that job description, interview against that, and stick with that criteria. Okay, I've asked you to get prepared. I've asked you to think about the questions you're going to ask. What I'd like to do now is just to make you more aware, or raise your awareness of the environment that you create. The first thing you'll be doing as a recruiter, as a decision maker, is actually thinking about the impression that the candidate is giving you when they walk into the room and settle themselves down. They will be doing the same to you. So you need to be aware of the environment and the impression that you create. You'll get far more out of people if you can get a really relaxed atmosphere. Make people feel comfortable, offer them refreshments, just a simple glass of water. And often you'll find that technicians, service people, parts people, they can be a little bit nervous as well. So anything you can do to relax them and create the environment that is just normal for your workplace is best. Again, be prepared, comfy seating, and one thing that is really, really critical is you will have your questions to ask. Hopefully, through the course of the interview, you will have created an atmosphere where the person feels relaxed. But please do make sure that you give them time to ask questions of you. If you have a service reception or an area that looks after people coming into the business, try to make sure you're not interrupted. In fact, don't try, make sure you're not interrupted. And if you've got a mobile phone with you, turn it off or leave it outside, or any form of interruption that can detract from or distract from the interview is absolutely key. I've given you a bit of an insight into some top tips for recruiting. The tricky thing that many people struggle with is actually holding on to people and retaining them. The Sunday Times have for many years now done the best 100 companies to work for. Here is last year's copy, and they have stuck with a criteria that has remained the same since they started doing this. And there are 8 main areas of retention issues, and many people are surprised to find that pay and benefits are not high on that list. The first on the list is leadership. If somebody who's working for you feels that the leadership of the organisation is what they believe it should be, and they can follow that leader, follow you, the recruiter probably, then there's a good strong chance they'll stay. The second is under the heading of well-being. This is all about how the person feels when they're in your workplace. So if there's too much stress, if there's too much work pressure, not enough interest in them, that would be their second main reason for leaving you. The third main area of retention, as highlighted by the Sunday Times, is my manager, it's called. And that's how they are managed on a day-to-day basis, and whether they feel that they are being managed effectively. The fourth area and in the Sunday Times is the heading My Team, and that's how comfortable your employees feel with the people around and the team ethic that's been created around them. And one of the main critical parts of that is if there's something that develops within the business that might lead to a disciplinary or might be a grievance issue, that the team can see that that's being handled properly, that will make them want to stay with you if that's the case. The fifth point is the one that often people think is the first. It's called fair deal. It's about the pay, the benefits, and everything else that might be offered to employees of your organisation. And at the back end of this short period of time with you, I'll just touch on some of extra things that you might like to think about. You may be surprised to know that it's less than 50% of people leave organisations because of pay. It's because of these other issues that I've mentioned. The 6 out of the 8 points from the Sunday Times is about giving something back. People like to stay with organisations, however small, that feel as if that business gives something back to the community, even if it's a charity donation, something they do in the high street, some local PR and press that they might do that says, hey, this organisation gives something back to the local community. The 7th is under the heading of My Company, and it's a question of pride. It's something that people like to feel associated with the business that they work for, so you might have a brand, you might have a particular image, you might have a particular ethos or a professionalism to the way you conduct the company's business, and that's another reason why people will stay if they feel really linked to that. And finally, personal growth is the last heading, and that's about, is the person that you're employing being challenged? Are they being stretched? Are all their skills being utilised? Are you properly investing in their training? Okay, just to bring it to a close, section 5 is all about what's in it for them. First thing is pay. Are you paying people reasonably? Do you offer the proper holiday entitlement or more? Are your working hours the sort of hours that people are happy to work for? Do you pay overtime? Do you offer things like private medical health? Do you offer share options? Or do you do more simple things like offer discount to staff on products that you might sell or can get hold of at a discounted price? Or even more simple things like pay for their gym membership if they are the sort of people that like to keep fit, or even approach your local B&Q and see if you can't enter into some form of reciprocal discount arrangement. There are so many other things you can do to actually benefit those that work for you. This is just a flavour. Thank you so much.